Manika, such an honor to have you here on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Payal. It's such a pleasure to be here. I know we've been talking about doing this for a while, and the fact that it's happening at last couldn't be a better
Absolutely.
day today, to make it happen.
And I know how your schedule is, and in spite of your schedule, you had so many achievements, you had awards, you're a practitioner of Buddhism. So let's dig in
That's
deep,
right.
but start with tell us a little bit about your career journey. How did you reach into this role? Were you always passionate about HR? Because I'm from the HR background, so I know once an HR is always an HR.
Well, to be honest, when I did my master's in psychology, and I've done my bachelor's, of course, in psychology. I specialized in organizational behavior. My father was always in the corporate. So I always knew that I want to do something in the corporate world.
Okay.
I initially didn't realize that I'll land up in HR, but actually it happened, when I was doing my internship with GE, that's when I really got a peek into the world of HR, right? From hiring through L&D, an HR business partner. And I remember it was when my first job per se was in this company called Sapient. And I
Mhm.
walked in to meet somebody, and I ended up having, you know, the person who was a recruiter was like, come in and let me get you to meet a few people. And I actually spent the entire day meeting with different people. It turned out to be an interview. And that's when I realized that, it was L&D, it was recruitment, there was staffing, there was HR business partner. Actually, I landed up with 5 potential jobs at the end of that day.
Wow.
And that's, I think, when the entire HR journey really started. Um, so a year with GE, I ended up spending about 14 years with Sapient. I can tell you that the culture was so empowering, and
Mhm.
it was just absolutely brilliant that I kept changing my roles within HR. So
Okay.
whether it was HR business partnering or setting up shared services or doing talent management or just getting your hands dirty into everything that's possible. And at the end of 14 years, I don't know what it is with all of us. I thought to myself, I'm a star here, but can I do this and create the same experience somewhere else? And that's when I interviewed with this company called Indigo.
Mhm.
And I spent, I landed up with a job. I started off with corporate HR, talent management, engagement, ended up with actually leading HR for all of the airports, domestic and international, as well as leading HR for Agile, which is a sister company, which has all of the blue collar workforce. Um, I did that for about 7.5 years, and for the last year and a half, actually more than a year and a half, I've been with Compass. But I think, as I look back at my entire career, right, I am not in HR because I'm passionate, only because I love people. I'm actually in HR because of wanting to create this remarkable difference to people's lives. And
Mhm.
when I say that, I actually believe that people spend more time in the workplace than they do at home.
Yeah.
And how do I create this work experience for them, which is so remarkable that it kind of, it really brings out the best in them, the true potential that they have, right?
Mm.
I'm also extremely passionate about diversity in mental health, like I mentioned. And
Mm.
when I say that, I feel like the reason I'm passionate is because I feel mental health is so biased in India.
Very, I agree.
Some people don't agree with it, but actually, um, I've seen this up so close that I feel, there is no difference between mental and physical health. And in the corporate industry, we need to be talking about this more. We
Mm.
need to say that it's not just something that you snap out of. It's not a taboo. It is something that we help people navigate, just as we would if someone came and told us that they have typhoid or malaria.
Yeah.
And it's something that we need to help people with the expertise, making sure they have access to expertise, because this is not something that go watch a movie and you will snap out of it if someone comes and tells you that they're not feeling okay. It is
Mm.
something way more deeper. And actually, because we're spending so much of time in the workplace, at times it could be the workplace that is contributing, you know, to
Yeah.
it. So we kind of, I feel like we're morally responsible, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. As well as diversity, because unfortunately we don't have enough diverse talent. And until we get there, I think we all need to do our bit and play our part. And hence, you know, I do a multiple of different things, which I'm happy to talk about as we go through this,
Sure.
to say, how do we make that happen?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. In fact, I remember putting up a post on my own LinkedIn page where I had mentioned that you know we are the corporate world makes accommodations for physical issues, but we are expected
Yeah.
to deal with our mental issues at our own time and our own space. So I think that is
Yes.
it's
Yes.
such a need of time. And then you also mentioned you said we spend more time at our workplace than we spend at home. So we have to make our workplace something conducive and great. So, according to you, with your decades of experience, what makes a great workplace?
You know, can I be honest? What I've seen is, you've heard of the phrase that culture eats strategy for breakfast. For me, culture eats strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because there is nothing, you know, more than the workplace and, culture that defines a workplace and makes it great. And honestly, you know, there are things that comprise, you know, of that. A, of course, it's the people that you're working with, but it's about the environment. Is it open? Is it transparent enough? Do you feel safe enough to be able to raise issues, to share your thoughts and feelings? So, for example, is an environment where if you come in and say you need to work from home, you're glared at and said, no, take the day off, but you can't because I don't trust you. Or is
Yeah,
a trusting environment to say, I don't care where you work from, but, you know, just this is what needs to get done. And, you know, as long as you're doing it, I'm fine. Is it an environment where we're making it easier for you? By it could be as simple as I have a daycare facility for you, or, is it an environment which is really celebrating you and recognizing you for your efforts? And when we are celebrating you, recognizing you, everyone is participating in it and genuinely is happy and excited for you, rather than,
yeah,
clapping in front, but
like
actually behind you saying how come and why, and etc. etc. So, for me, being a political free culture is absolutely critical. And I think that defines, a great, workplace. One of the big ones, which most, organizations leave out, is what's the purpose of the organization? Why do you even exist?
yeah,
And helping people align to that, because, nowadays people look at much more, right, than just I go to work, right? What's our purpose? What is our vision? What am I here to do? How am I impacting lives?
much
What is
difference.
the larger, what's the larger difference that I'm making to the world out there? The minute we start showing these connections and helping people achieve it, by even contributing and making a difference, that's a fantastic workplace, right? Where you have a sense of pride, where you feel like I'm proud to work here. The
Yeah.
respect that I get, the camaraderie that I have, the trust that I have, that's what makes a great workplace.
So, like you said, that nowadays people are looking for a purpose, and especially this age of generation which is entering the workforce, they are not joining with
Yeah.
an aim to resign with retire with a golden watch. They want to
Yeah.
make a difference, like you said. So you are very, when we got together earlier over a call, you said about retention practices. Now, from the time
Hmm.
you have started your career, or I should say, what are some of the best retention practices that every company could have?
You know, beautiful. Like I really like this is I've seen a change over the years, right? Earlier, when you had to retain somebody, you could easily offer them more money.
Hmm.
Earlier, international roles used to be very big. The minute you show
Yeah.
the international card and you dangle it in front of someone, they would jump and say yes,
Yes.
because,
Yeah.
in all our families, going abroad was such a big thing, right? But now that the new generation, right, going abroad and international trips and, being exposed to the world is something that they already have access to. Many people now have access to. Yeah.
Yes.
You see, a lot of people are studying outside as well.
Yeah.
So to me, retention practices go far more deeper than just dangling money or giving them an international stint.
Hmm.
It is showing them where is their career going and what is the organization going to do, with them for in the long term with their career, right? And you have to build it out, right? So let's look at your immediate career. How is it going to? Because now it's no longer hierarchical. I want to grow this way. It's I want to travel. I want to do different things. Like the newer population and the newer generation, they're eager to learn and they're eager to get their hands dirty by different projects, by getting exposed to different departments. It's not just plain Jane, I'm going to do this one thing and I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing it. I think the other pieces from a retention perspective is showing them the value and opportunity that the organization has at large. What is the purpose, like I earlier mentioned, right? How would they be given an opportunity to impact the world? What's the legacy that they're creating? Showing them that picture is hopelessly important as far as I'm concerned. And from a retention strategy, the brand, like helping people grow their own individual brand while the organization's brand is growing as well, is also something that I've seen that, people kind of look like. When I say individual brand, it's only when you invest in people with learning opportunities, right? This is the classic 70-20-10. What are the opportunities for giving them in the workplace for them to get their hands dirty? What is the opportunities, the mentoring, the coaching, etc., that they're getting so that they're turning out to be better professionals? What are the training, the learning programs that you're sending them to, where they can holistically see that they're making a difference? So when you look at the entire piece as a career and not just your next role, right? Show them the long-term vision of where we're taking their career and what is the experience we're going to give them. I think that's where I've seen a shift in retention strategies, right?
So,
and with it, I think it's very, very important now that managers and leaders, very important for them to understand their people better. Because not every retention strategy will fit the other person. It's not one size fits.
Right. People come with different personalities.
Yeah. Like, for example, I had this lady who said, I want to quit because, I need to give more attention to my child. And I want to give it all up. So, mom, I had to sit her down to say, what about your finances? Let's talk about how are you going to see this, right? Where are you going to earn from? Okay, so what exactly do you need? You need time. Okay, where are we not being able to give you time?
Right.
So, for example, if your child is going to school and you're coming in, but you need a couple of hours in the middle to go pick him up and then settle him in and then start working in, will that work? And that person turned around and said, Manika, next day came in and said, you're so right. What am I going to do at home when the child is in school till 2 o'clock?
Absolutely.
Right? I need those 2 hours in the middle to just settle him in because he has classes as well.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm a single mom. I need the finances, and I wasn't thinking this straight because I was feeling really guilty. And that was a retention strategy.
Yeah. So it looks like, you're hands-on on this, Manika. What I'm seeing is you're very hands-on in your retention strategy. For you, retention strategies are not something which is made in a policy and then you distribute it to everyone. What I am hearing and which I am feeling really proud of thing is that you are the one who says retention is what I am doing every single day with you, to keep you, to help you out.
Yeah. It's the question that I ask, saying, what is your career aspiration? And, as leaders, we need to you can't do this thing about only when a person quits will you make the person feel important. It's about how we make our people feel through their careers or tenure, as they're working with us, right? Every day actually matters. So if I ridicule you one day and give you a reward the other day, it's not going to work. That's where culture plays a role.
Absolutely. Yes, that's very true. No, I think this is really nice because usually we just put retention strategies in some policies and in a book, in a handbook, and then we distribute it. That this is how we keep you. But for you, I see that it's an everyday task. And like we say in HR, we deal with people and people wake up with different emotions every single day. So your retention strategies keep changing. Wow, that's
absolutely right.
Really nice.
Absolutely right.
It's very nice. And you also in the initial, you spoke about diversity, right? And you're an advocate of diversity, you said. So how is diversity? Is it a part of your retention practices these days in companies? How do you see it?
It absolutely is. I think it's about what is diversity? It's not only about gender.
Mm.
And Payal, if you give me a second, I'm just gonna grab something from my throat.
Sure.
I seem to be losing my voice. Just give me a second.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sorry about that.
Sorry, I'll repeat the questions for them to edit it, okay?
Yes, yes.
So you are an advocate of diversity, and we spoke about it even earlier, and now also you had mentioned that it's a huge part of it. So how is diversity and retention practices, is it interconnected? What is your take on it?
I think it's totally interconnected because diversity is of thoughts, ideas, gender, people with different needs. But you need to have in the organization, you need to believe in the fact that we want this to be a place for all, right? Because people come from different backgrounds and you should be able to thrive irrespective of where you come from.
Right.
So do you have the fair pay practices as an example, right? In your organization, do you have flexibility for certain pockets if and when required, right? Is the mentorship. So for example, women. And I really do feel passionately about this, and hence I'm smiling. Where is the mentorship for women? People are just starting off. Yes, in India, we still have that missing rung when people become managers. It's a big deal to say, when you get married, what happens? When you're having a baby, what happens? When you're returning back, what happens?
Yeah.
You have children leaving homes, right? And going off to colleges. There is an empty nest syndrome, what happens? In your organization, are you even talking about things which you usually don't, like menopause? It's life-changing transitions, right? And are we talking about things like that people, how does your sexual orientation, for example, impact who you are? Right? I mean, you're LGBTQ, or it could be people of different age groups, right? You've got baby boomers and you've got millennials and Gen Zs. So different. But you have the policies and practices that are able to accommodate people's different interests. So, for example, there is someone who may want a Zen room, be able to go and meditate. Well, there's someone else to say, but I want a Zumba class on Friday evenings, right? And how are you merging all of that in to say here is a workplace that values everybody? We're thinking about all of you, and it's a part of your long-term retention plan.
Right. Yeah, true. You also mentioned about this thing, that the empty nest syndrome, which I think is so necessary these days. We don't talk about it. And menopause, I've never heard anyone talking about it either. So definitely, I think that is something which we need to keep in mind. You are a practitioner of Buddhism.
Yes.
And I also read a lot about Buddhism. So tell me a little bit about it, and how has it impacted you or shaped you as an individual and helped you in your career?
So, I went to Buddhism in 2018, I think.
Okay.
Right? It happened to me. It's interesting because, there are patches I go through my life where I'm chanting every day, and there are patches when I'm not chanting. And I can see the difference. When I'm not chanting, my family now is pointing me towards the fact that, can you go and chant, please? Because I think overall, as a person itself, it hugely calms me. But I think, what Buddhism has taught me is faith. Even in the workplace, who doesn't have your highs and lows?
Yeah.
But you have faith in yourself that you're going to bounce back, or things are going to be okay, or things are going to work out, and don't lose confidence. I think that's a key skill, that because Buddhism believes that you can change your own karma.
Wow. Okay.
So you have goals that you put down, and we chant for those goals. But what's beautiful about Buddhism is that we're not only chanting for ourselves, but we're chanting for others.
Yeah, true.
So it's building the skill of empathy, right? Empathy to first find out about the other person. How many times do we pause and ask others, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on? Every person has something unique to offer. It's that belief.
Mm.
Don't only look at a glass as half empty. For me, what's really important is that I'm holding a glass. So,
So well
it's
put.
about perspectives, right? It's about perspectives. And I think Buddhism has helped me, become that kind, humble, authentic leader that I believe that I'm told that I am today. But first, putting myself in the other person's shoes.
Mm.
And as an HR professional, I can't sit here in my air conditioned office and create policies and practices for somebody who's not sitting here
Yeah,
and is some remote part of India. I need to put myself in that person's shoes and then create the policies and practices.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that level of empathy is something that it's really helped create in me.
Yeah, because we talk so much about empathy and everything in the work culture, but we don't know from where it's coming, how it's coming. And I think this is such a
Yeah,
great direction that you have caught and
yeah,
you've taken it ahead. Superb. That's so good.
yeah.
Manika, what would be your one piece of advice to our listeners who truly want to succeed in their game and in their career?
I think dream. First, have a dream, right? You want to be successful in your career, you really need to want to be successful, right? First, want to have a career. Just don't do it as a nice to have. That's my first thing.
Mm.
The second thing is you need to have a lot of belief in yourself. There'll be really days when are really tough, where you don't feel like getting up in the morning and going into work, right? Someone says something to you, you messed up somewhere. Mistakes are the best form of learning, but that shouldn't shake your confidence. Belief in yourself is something that you should always have. Don't give the power to somebody else to shake that belief.
I so agree. Yes.
Yeah. My mantra, not only in the workplace, right, but in life is you have to choose to be happy now.
Yeah.
So
True.
having a
The
positive outlook,
choice. Yeah.
actually, it's a choice, right? You can choice, you have a choice to see the grass always looks green on the other
Oh,
side.
yeah. That is
We're
true.
talking about retention
Yeah.
strategies.
Yeah.
Your batchmate, my next peer, my
Yeah.
neighbor, my family member, somebody
Next
there, old
company.
friend
Yeah.
they have. But what we forget is that you're actually standing on grass.
Mm.
What you have to do is water it.
Yeah.
What you have to do is nurture it.
Your own
Many
grass.
times you forget that. And it's at the end of the day, it's your attitude.
Mm.
If you keep that laser sharp focus,
Mm.
and if you have a positive attitude, and just spread that light.
Mm.
When I say dream, it's your dream is that I want to have a career, I want to get somewhere, but I also want to make sure that in the workplace, I'm actively seen as someone who's making an impact, someone who's got fantastic attitude, someone who's eager to learn, someone who's investing in themselves. A lot of people feel that it's the company's responsibility to make me learn.
Mm.
But I ask our viewers, how many of you do something to learn yourself? Today, in the day and age that we think anything that I want to learn is available online.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
be honest.
yeah.
Anything.
You just have to have
Do
the
you
will.
take out the time?
If you don't have the
Do you
will to
take out the
learn, you
time to
don't want to
go?
go there.
Exactly. But you're
Yeah.
waiting for it to happen and for
Yeah,
someone
you
else
just
to make
want
it happen.
someone to keep pushing you all the time. That,
You don't
somebody
need
has
it.
to push and then we blame it on the boss. Oh, my boss wasn't good.
You don't need it. Own your own growth.
Yeah,
Own your own growth. Own
yeah,
your own destiny. Own your own career. It's
yeah,
actually in your hands. And dream big and choose to be happy.
yeah.
It's a choice that each one of us have. So that's
Oh,
my,
nice.
two bits to our viewers.
How nice. I think you would have been such a big inspiration even to your own team members. So it's such an pleasure to have spoken with you and been so interactive, Manika. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know how
Thank
your
you.
day looks like.
Thank you so much, Payal. I've just kept this very natural.
Yeah.
I love the conversation actually. It kind of reinforces and makes me go back to think. It's a great reminder for things that I really do believe in.
Uh,
And I think as long as you can stay humble and grounded, and as long as you can stay passionate about the things that you really value, then I think just the whole work experience becomes so much more easier more than
Much more
anything
easier.
else.
Yes. And I liked what you said. That problems are always going to be there. You have to know how to navigate them. So
Yeah.
that was awesome, Manika. Thank you so much for being a part of
Thank
this.
you.
And
Thank you so much.
this one's for our listeners. This is Manika Awasthi and Payal Nanjiani wishing you all loads of success in your career life. God bless.